Welcome back, all you listeners. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to Politics on the Navajo Nation. This is Cal Nez, your host. Korola in Huto Histahuiz net dole nana dole the heat jataya. The card it's out the net that's the saskat. Kaishi is largely the was. Ako dire kro ein hitche hanagi cho eti the ni he huto e pan sokke sto dire honde the nen hista has naki e huto a jo o to oha shit o bohodni ko e to Kate zeta that the yego huto na is just kito hate o that to nigo huto. And that's going to be the thing. That's why we're bringing these podcasts. This is a public service to all of you out there to have you navigate, look at these candidates, what they're about. And mostly, we know the problems. I don't expect these candidates to be repeating the same questions that we already know. What we're seeking is solutions and how they're going to navigate if they should get elected. So tonight, we have a guest who is running for the 2026 Navajo Nation president seat. His name is Donovan Begay. Ako Eshe Kuroe. I want to thank him for joining us, and all you listeners out there, thank you for joining us as well. So, Mr. Begay, why don't you introduce yourself, your clan, and your basic general information about your career?
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Calnez. Mr. Calnez, I've known you back maybe about 15 years ago during the time that we were in Shiprock, so I kind of have an idea about Mr. Nez. She Donovan Begay, she Bales, and she let Toy Glini, Bushin, Nakaidanet, Dashi, Toba, Dashi, um, uh, Herfino, then I shot Tetandiki, Herfino, do this tie. Ada, they're from that area there. Uh, she, Nish, Los Angeles Unified School District, Title VI program, cultural consultant, Ada. Um, Auto, Salatsko, United States Marine Corps. I served 6 years ago, and I was with the Detachment Fourth Force Reconnaissance Unit out of Stead, Nevada. It used to be a Air Force base, and now they have aerial um, shows there. And ako, we got um, um, activated to go to the Persian Gulf, and half of our unit went out there, and half of it stayed here. Did counter narcotics here in San Bernardino Mountains. So we did a lot of things with the sheriff's department. Ako, Ado, uh, Shimado, Shijay, they're both alive and doing well. Shijay, Peter Begay, uh, Zitanditli Dana Shah. He's got family from there. Hana Gledo, which is Carson, Herfinale area. Shimai, Reno, Nevada, Dana Shah. She's living up there right now. Ado, uh, Shalshina. I have two sons and two daughters. They're all attending Osha, Osha. They're all at Citrus College in Azusa Pacific University. One of them is going there, and then the others are going to Glendale area in California. So that's pretty much the introduction I have for you. Kela. Yat Mr. Niz.
can you share with us your platform, please?
Well, um, the platform that I'm running on is basically to work with the council. That's the first thing I think we need to do is sit down with them and try to figure out what projects are close to being done, what is most important to their communities, and try to get those done, and not hold up anything that the people are needing. And one of the things that really needs to be done is we need to clean up our tourism, our areas of events. What I want to do is work on the fairgrounds that we have and possibly start getting other people like tourists coming in from other countries, other states, because a lot of times as an artist myself, basically, if I have an art piece that I'm going around, I'm trying to sell for $25, and the hopes is that we will bring somebody in that will pay $200 to $300 for that same piece. And as we're going around trying to sell this piece for $25, but in the end we wind up getting about $10 or $15, and that's a thing that happens to a lot of artists. So that's one of the biggest things that we got to do. We got to continue helping the elders. We have to continue helping the the veterans, and then we also want to start really putting more money into the college students, helping them out with. I'm hoping to do as many scholarships as possible. You know, give them all the help that they need to go to college. A lot of them don't have that help, so they're out there in the cities on their own, trying to make ends meet, and so that's very important. And then also helping out the young parents and people that are living in the cities, give them resources, give them information about housing, give them information about food programs, and come out, and if we have funds available, help them with their rent, help them with car repairs, help them with gas, help them with childcare. Um, I believe there's funds for that. I know some of the candidates have indicated that there's $10 billion that's available for us, but there really wasn't no designation of exactly what those funds were for. So that's primarily what we're trying to do right now. And like a lot of candidates, we saw that uh, the housing program was a big mess, and we want to get involved and try to help the people, help with the water situation, and also help with the road situation. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Hela.
Okay. So let me just do a really quick recap. Number one would be council, sit down with them to review current ongoing projects. You also want to address tourism issues, mainly starting with the fairground cleanup. You want to also include elders, veterans. You want to address college students, get as many scholarships out there, and also to address urban Navajos issues, water, and road. Ashwata?
Oh,
Okay,
Ada,
go ahead.
you see Ada. Those things are the most important things, I believe. I'm sure there's a lot more. We do have the uranium issues on them running uranium through our reservation, and there's a high risk of accidents happening. And also, we also had talks about uh, um, gangs, wild dogs, feral horses, ranchers, farmers, those issues. Those all have to be, I believe we can do a lot better for the ranchers and the farmers. Um, I truly believe we can help a lot more people this time around because everybody's motivated. We can't fail the people. We can't do that.
Okay. Um, okay, so that's about 12 kind of altogether as far as your platform goes. And so the next segment we're going to morph into is the question and answer part of this interview. And again, let me just kind of preface this, and that is the these questions are basically just general information regarding the Navajo Nation government. Should you become an elected as the president of the Navajo Nation, there are several ongoing things, and it's just not just this year or the last 5 years, but some of these issues have been going on since the beginning of the Navajo Nation Council. And also back in 1989, there was a separation of the Navajo Nation government to establish the three-branch government that we have. So the reason why that I feel like that all the candidates need to have to address these is so that without knowing the foundation, without knowing what's happened way back when, because way back when, what happened then affects today, and what we do today is going to affect tomorrow. So comprehensively, these are all interlocked together. And so a lot of it is going to be about, the future. I don't expect people to, I prefer not to hear and rehash what the problem is, but more of a solution-oriented conversation here. So the first question that I'm going to get into is about the Navajo Nation veterans, which is kind of, I believe that might be your wheelhouse, something that you can address. And as far as the Navajo Nation veteran goes, first of all, let me preface, I respect and I honor all the veterans. Thank you for all of your services and the things that you have done for the country of the United States and also for the Navajo Nation. But there's a kind of a different view. That view is that the United States government declared war or participated in wars, but not the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation did not. So our warriors go and serve the United States. Of course, that covers us here as well. But the question is, once they return home, they're discharged, they come back to the Navajo Nation. And that's why when I was running for the Navajo Nation president in 2014, that question was still there. The veteran problem. What's the problem?
Oh, right now, as a veteran, I really tried everything I could as a veteran and a single parent of 4 kids. I reached out to family to try to get help for, basic needs, child care while I worked. It was very difficult. So I reached out to the veteran programs here on the Navajo Nation, and they really didn't have anything. They didn't have any sort of um, answers on where to go, what you needed to do to care for yourself and your family. And I sometimes, I kind of see it as disrespectful, even though they verbally say, "Hey, we respect these service people," but without the servicing, without the assistance, that doesn't really show much. So one of the things that I believe that could be done is start to inform a lot of the younger and the basic veterans are now coming out about what services are available that they can get on the reservation and off the reservation. One thing that I found out just not too long ago is that GI Bill is not only for your educational for pursuing your educational endeavors. Basically, it's also for housing. You can actually go to a realtor, sit down with the realtor and say, I'm interested in this home here in this town. And the realtor will look and there's a little button that says veteran. They'll push on that and they'll look up how much the house is and how much the federal government is going to kick in on your behalf. So usually it's around 65 to about 80 some $1,000, depending on the price of the house. So after that, you pretty much come up with the closing costs, which is going to be between 16 and $18,000, and they need about 3 months of uh, I believe it's a bank statements, and I think 2 years of income, of work history. So that'll pretty much will get you into a home, which I didn't know about. So things like this should be available on the reservation as it is off the reservation. But in a way, there's not many resources on the reservation that we collect taxes and we can give out funds in that way. I got frustrated with being here and struggling on the reservation, even though I was a veteran and also and a full time artist. I picked up one day, told my kids, "Hey, you guys want to go to Los Angeles?" And they said yes. I said, "Okay, pack your stuff. We're going." So we gave our stuff away. We threw stuff in the trash. We just packed everything in the truck that we could carry, and then we wound up in Los Angeles. And people there started telling me that this is what you're eligible for. People on the beach, they're saying you need to go see your veteran. You can need to go to the crisis center. They'll set you up there. But for me, I was like very reluctant because of the fact that I was a healthy man, and that I really didn't feel I that I should be asking for help, and I should be as a man helping myself and helping to feed and clothe and house my own children. So, but being in a place like California, where minimum rent for yourself and 4 kids, you're probably looking at about over maybe 3,500 to about $4,000 just for rent. I mean, you haven't paid for any utilities, you haven't paid for food, you haven't paid for gas, you haven't paid for anything else, anything for your children or for yourself. So from there, I started figuring out what's possible, what I was eligible for. In some cases, I believe that a lot of people are probably better off the reservation if they have those resources. A veteran and being a Native American in California was very helpful. They do have a Native American, it's called United American Indian Involvement Center in California, and they really helped us out a lot. And as I went along, they did help me with employment, where I got to work for the Los Angeles Centers of Disease Control during the pandemic. And then after I received my degree, psychology and sociology, I applied for a position at Los Angeles Unified School District under their Title VI program, and I was accepted. And I've been working for them since. But going back to the veteran, I think a lot more information needs to be given out to the veterans, especially the young veterans. You say, you know what, you're 20 years old, you've been working, you just landed this job, you've been working there for 2 years, you got good credit, you can get into a house by the time you're 40 to 50 years old, you're going to own your house, and that's very important because everybody needs a place to be, and never have that hanging over them to be homeless. And it's not unnecessary that the Navajo Nation is in that situation. I don't really know the housing situation where, like if you receive housing as a veteran, if you have to pay for the home. But I know that regular members, Navajo Dene, the housing program, they actually have to pay for the residence that they're living at. For a while there, I kind of thought that they actually give it to you, which is I think that's a concept a lot of people have. So and until they're told you're actually going to be buying the house, which is also very helpful, and the federal government does pick a portion of that up. So that's one of the things I would do for veterans. I would give them as much information to get out there, and to also tell them about what you're eligible for. They have a thing called, I guess, the 5150 kind of thing, where they actually get help. even though they do have some physical inabilities caused by being in the military. They go on a percentage program where they're eligible for certain amounts of funds, which really does come in handy. I'm not part of that program right now. I mean, I work and I feel like I'm okay, but I know that I'm eligible for some of those type of fundings.
Okay. Yeah, again, concerning veterans, the Navajo Nation has something unique. And what I was looking in your comment, and again, let me remind you that I'm looking for solutions. Giving out information and eligibility is what I heard. Is there something else beyond that information that you're a veteran? I would assume that you would know exactly what is general, whether you're off the Navajo Nation or on the Navajo Nation. But precisely in this case, because you're going to be the president, should you get elected, you're going to be the president of the Navajo Nation. So knowing the problems, what are you going to do to address the veteran issues on the Navajo Nation?
Well, one of the things is that you have to go to these veteran meetings that they have. You have to go there, and you have to, with the information that's going to be available to the Navajo Nation president. They do get a lot more information than general public does. So you would have to either work with liaisons or work with the commanders, and you would have to let them know what is available so that they can help take care of themselves, because that the situation out there with a lot of people, they really don't know. There's a lot of homeless veterans because they get frustrated because they can't get the services they need. So the solution for that is to give them as much information that they can. Some of them do have instabilities, like some challenges mentally, and you have to be able to help them and not get frustrated with them. And so it might, I mean, you have to, some of them don't want help, but all you can do is just offer them the information that you have, and try to get out there to try to help even the elderly veterans. They're older. Some of them are in their 80s and 90s still looking for to get a home. So one of the solutions is to look at what is available to help them immediately. Where can you look into get them some housing, and in some type of program to help take care of themselves, because we all don't have the answers. We have that answer. Those answers have to come to us by organization, primarily, I guess the veteran programs, also the military programs. That the information we receive, we cannot hide that. I know a lot of that happens a lot with the officials, land board issues, officials, chapter officials. They hold on to information that they should be giving out to the information, but a lot of them do, they're holding on to information, I guess, for themselves or their families. Like, so we got to be able to hold on to that type of information, and give it out to the veterans. That's one of the biggest things, is information.
Okay. Well, I think apparently it's not working because I think there's already the Navajo Nation Veteran Administration in the VA, and there's also different, I'm not sure what you call them, outposts, command centers throughout the Navajo Nation.
Oh,
They're there
oh,
right now, but they're still not getting
mhm.
the information out. So there's still a problem. So name two things that you think is the most pressing problem.
I think one of the biggest pressing problems is that neglect of your responsibility in the position you're in. That is one of the biggest things that, knowing, working with officials, and also being an official myself. I just started being a secretary treasurer for a chapter. I've been in there about maybe 3.5 months, and I'm learning the process. But looking at why there's holdup, it has a lot to do of why things are held up, is because their lack of will um, to do their jobs. So that's one of the things that really needs to be addressed. And there was a lot of talk about accountability, and that includes chapter officials, that includes the hearings and appeals that I know they're more like a mediator than they are an official judicial system, and we need to stop doing that. We need to start being more stringent on the laws and policies that we have, so that it will work more for the people. People who are in government or the Navajo Nation government know it's very relaxed. And when I sat in many chapter meetings, they talk about uh, not having the legislation not having enough teeth, they call it. So that's one thing that needs to be accountable. I know that some of the candidates really want to have a really all out, uh, really strong opposition or accountability plan going on, but I think that is possible. But you have to look at how much is that is necessary. But you do have to be very very stern with your decisions, and you expect all the departments under you to back you up and to be able to fulfill those needs, because it's basically those addresses from the Navajo Nation president. It's not a request, it's a necessity. And that's the reason why I think we have a lot of problems, because a lot of policies are not being upheld, a lot of laws aren't being withheld, and I think there needs to be a little bit stronger, um, um, just stronger accountability for all employees, all government officials, all policies, and that's what I believe, especially for the judicial system.
You don't think that some basic elements that are crucial, because right now there's on reservation facilities, and there's also majority of them are off reservation. How do you think healthcare, and how do you think that housing? You already talked about housing, but healthcare is predominantly an issue. Don't you think that that's an important component?
Yeah, I believe it's a healthcare. I mean, a lot of times you can't really tell when somebody has any sort of an issue. You only see them as they are, individuals. Even if you're in the medical field, when they come to the hospital, you only see certain types of um, behaviors. But I think that a lot of medical personnel become complacent, and they don't they see it so often, and they see a lot of things that happen. For us, it's emotional. It's emotional when somebody's in the hospital, and for the staff, they become complacent, and I think they ignore a lot of signs that people have issues. And with the veterans, they do have a lot of internal type of trauma, because they go in not being used to this type of behavior, this type of uh, treatment, and things that because the U.S. government has a goal that is beyond their ability as just as an individual, and they'll push you to the limits of everything that you have mentally and physically. And I believe that having addressing those things publicly, getting out there and talking to the people in the medical field, saying, you know, not only the veterans, also the community, you need to try to start helping them before it becomes a bigger problem later. So that has a lot to do with the way that people, the way our skyrocketing medical costs are. It has a lot to do with uh,
Oops, I look like we lost them. His connection. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to Politics on Navajo Nation. Politics on the Navajo Nation. I'm your host, Cal Nez, and looks like we lost Mr. Begay. He's calling back in now, so this is one of the things that we need to address on. So for a lot of these candidates, internet connection. So anyway, you were saying? Hello? You're frozen. I can't hear you. We're losing all sorts of connection. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So double check your mute. Double check, see if your sound is on.
How about now, Mr. Nez?
I can hear you now, so good. And you can hear me okay too, right?
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic I want to talk about is the Navajo Nation, because this involves money. This involves the future of these programs. And somewhere along the line, whether we agree with the concept of these programs or these locations of these, and that's the Navajo Nation ranches. The ranches. There's several of them, and locations are going to be really important, but mostly, why do we own the ranches? What's the concept behind the Navajo Nation owning ranches?
Well, back when Russell Begay was the president, he proposed to buy a ranch in Durango area, Buffalo Ranch, and a lot of people don't know that. And the question of why he purchased that or had the Navajo Nation purchase it.
I lost you again. I don't know what you're saying. You're just a big black box right now. So you're either going to have to relocate, go somewhere else, and get a better connection. But right now, I can't hear you. Nobody can hear you. Navajo Nation, please resolve this internet connection. We need better internet connections throughout the Navajo Nation. We're talking to Donovan Begay. He is running for the Navajo Nation president. And we have talked about who he is, where he's from. He introduced himself. He's basically, he is running with a platform of sitting down with the council, sitting down and find out what the projects are and getting them done. He also talked about tourism cleanup, mostly the fairground cleanup. He wants to address elderly issues, veterans, college students, colleges, get as many scholarships out there, and to also address the urban Navajos issue, water on the Navajo Nation, roads on the Navajo Nation, things pertaining to uranium, hauling uranium, gang issues, feral dogs and feral horses, and also to address ranchers and farmers' needs. And so we were talking about the veterans, and we had just gotten into the ranches. And so that's where we're at. And it's unfortunate that we have to get into this internet issue. It shouldn't have to be this way, but it is. And this is why I tell people, if you're a candidate and you have an interview, you have somewhere that you need to be, get yourself well prepared, like What does it take to get into, where the internet connections are? Go to that location and make sure that you are connected. And so we avoid these type of technical issues, and because it's absolutely critical that we talk about this and make sure that everybody's well prepared. I think it's unnecessary that we have to encounter these internet connection. And so I'm advising all the rest of you candidates out there, get yourself into a connectivity so we avoid this issue. It's unfair to the listeners. They're taking time to listen to you, and then we have to wait to get these connectivity ready. So having said that, we're talking about the Navajo Nation ranches, and you were right in the middle of talking about why Russell Begay had bought ranches, a buffalo ranch in Colorado. So go ahead, Mr. Begay.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ness. Yeah, we didn't know about that ranch for a while, and the public probably doesn't know about that ranch. But you can look at it like it's an investment for the Navajo Nation. And I asked Delegate Rick Nez about that one time. He says, "Yeah, it's open to the public. You can actually go up there to view them, take pictures. You can actually, draw them, and because we're artists, myself and him, and that would be something that I would like to go up and see. I just haven't had the time. So I believe it is good to purchase ranches to the point where it's an investment for the people. So I myself would probably look into something that would be beneficial to the people. So I agree with do purchasing ranches with particular reasonings and something that will help the people.
Well, there's a flip side to that, because remember, all of these ranches was not bought, even though Russell Begay might have initiated. But those ranches belong to the Navajo people. As long as the ranches is purchased or anything, including the enterprises, that money is paid for by using the Navajo people's money. And there's a big question right now. The Navajo people could indict Ilkit. Why do we have ranches that are located in Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and they're scattered all over the place? And we don't even have access to them. I don't think it's even open to the Navajo people. I mean, there's a misnomer about that we have access. We don't want to just go visit and take pictures and do some artwork. We want to be able to know what it is and how we're going to, what is it doing for the Navajo people? This has got nothing to do, yeah, it might be gaining money, but what I've been hearing is that majority of them are losing money. What do you think about that? It's got nothing to do with how well the Navajo Nation is invested, but we don't even have access to them.
Well, a lot of there's a flip side of everything. There's the pros and cons. I believe that uh, there there has to be a lot of thought going into actually these sort of purchases, and I think the intent. Uh, I believe a lot of the leaders take uh, are for the beneficial of the people, but if there's not a direct benefit of the people, it's for the next administration to figure out a plan so people can have access to them. I believe that would be the solution for that.
So if you become president of the Navajo Nation, how would you make it accessible?
Yes, sir. That sounds like one of the solutions that should be looked into.
Yeah, so what would you do step by step to have it accessible to the Navajo people? What do you mean by accessibility?
Well, what could be done is a creation of these a list of these ranches and their benefits or whatever the issue is that that ranch has to where people can benefit it in a certain way. Either they can learn from it for whatever they're studying in college, or even children could go visit them, like the zoo. I mean, that's one thing that children are part of the programs that they can do. They can go to the zoo, and it's paid for. It's justified by the program that's paying for it. So these things should be accessible. I specifically, and I think for educational purposes, that would be a really good way to go with that.
What about resolving some of the ones that are losing money? Because it comes down to money. Why own a ranch that you can't even have it so self-sustaining?
Well, a lot of those you can look into and see whether or not if it's uh, economically viable to keep it. You got to be able to think about what the benefits are, and if it's hurting us, and if it's not helping us. That needs to be taken into considerations, and then the rest of them, uh, move them. At least give information to the schools, make them available, and make sure that they're staffed properly so it's safe when the children do go there, or the public, and open it up to. I'm not sure about the tourism portion of it, to the general public, um, um, but all those things. You need to look into it, have a plan, have staff to look into it, and I think it's a very important issue. The way the question has been set out.
If you see that there's a deficit with half of these ranches, what are you going to do to bring solution to that problem?
Well, you got to look at what can you get back out of it, or is it more of a deterrent, to sell it back, or sell it to retain some of the funds, where you're going to be able to save money in the long run. Um, that's just has You just have to look at it with a team of people that know more than possibly I do about it, and what the best moves would be. But I wouldn't really be going to the attorneys and asking questions. You probably would have to go to a financial advisor, and also people who know about those particular ranches, or if it's cattle, if it's horses, if it's buffaloes, and give you the lowdown on the benefits, the pros and cons of that, owning that uh, those ranches. You do need advisement. You do need consultants, and you have to listen to it. But in the end, you really got to make a good decision. That's what it's going to take.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's go on to the Navajo Nation owned enterprises. Can you share with me at least three Navajo Nation enterprises?
Well, the enterprises that I would see as the enterprise, a money making company. The biggest ones that we have, you would think, are the casinos. Whether or not, if they're making money or not, is not known to me. Um, so that's one that I would want to look into the books to try to figure out, is it helping us, or what could we do to improve it? Is it advertising? Do we need to get more people other than ourselves to attend? And then the second, number two, enterprise, I would believe is an enterprise, would be NAPI, NAPI, and how that creates jobs, and also how it's sustainable. I believe this is only what I've heard, but they do come to the council and they ask for money to continue the services that they provide. Um, so that has been going on for a while, and but I believe the funds are beneficial to the people, because of the fact that you're able to go buy a bag of potatoes, like every single one of those, for like $3, and you can't do that in the store. So that is somewhat beneficial, and also the hay. uh, and then the second one, I believe, with that, I don't really would exactly know what an enterprise specifically is, uh, word for word, but I would think that the coal mine that we have, BHP mine, well, that's one that I would believe that, is kind of sustaining people's livelihoods. Whether or not if it's making money or losing money, I don't have those numbers. So those are a few things that I would believe that are money making situations. Whether or not they're losing or gaining, I'm not sure.
Yeah. If they're, again, well, let me just ask you the basic question. And that is, do you understand why these enterprises were established by the Navajo Nation government?
I believe they were established. One of them, I believe, was the coal mine was established back in, I believe, in the '60s or '70s ish, when Peter McDonald was against them, and whatever issues came up, they forced their way in, and then they started making money with the coal mines on the reservations, and that's all that I pretty much know about that business. For the gaming business, I believe that I don't know who proposed it or how we went about doing it, because I know previously a lot of the Navajos were against it. They didn't want that. So eventually it got approved. I forget what administration approved it, but I believe it was so we can gain some funds, jobs. I believe that was specifically what that was for. And NAPI, I believe they thought that they could make a lot of money, and because we do have the a lot of the ranges. I live within the NAPI areas. They almost go maybe like less than a mile from my grandma's house. So I believe that I think the intent is, uh, on most part, trying to help the people, but whether or not it does, I don't have the numbers to look at so that I to make a real sound decision on what suggestions to help would be.
Yeah. Well, these questions are really, really important because the parallel between all of these subjects is it comes down to money, 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 money. If it's a deficit, why are we throwing money at it? And if it's a surplus, yeah, of course, let's continue this idea. But I think the enterprises and a lot of arguments is that these enterprises are past its days. When they were first established, they were a good idea. But the here and now today, everybody knows that government should not own businesses. One example, we'll get into this, is these enterprises are now competing with local Navajo business. And that's a problem. So the enterprises, if you see it where they're constantly losing money, you as the Navajo Nation CEO of the Navajo Nation, what would you do to help curb this problem?
Well, you like you would have to look at the like the Navajo mine, BHP mine. Why it continues is because of the way it hosts the person who works there, whether or not if it generates enough monies to sustain the wages of the people that work there, that have been working there for how many ever years it's been there. They do make a very well wage where they can uh, take care of and support not only their families but other, like their extended families. My kids' grandfather, he worked for the mine. Uh, I forget since when, but he's always worked for the mine since I've known them, and he's always been very generous and helpful to the people around him, not only his family but people that he didn't even know. And so I believe that a lot of it has to do with people. Um, you know, although it does lose money, uh, and they're pumping money into the enterprise, I believe the intent is to, uh, just like the casinos, we don't know if it's actually making money or it's able to sustain itself, but they're pumping money into it so somebody can earn a wage other than just giving them a handout. So that's what I would think it would be.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I asked you for three. I appreciate you answering them. The casinos, you're right. Nappy's right. We don't own a coal mine. BHP is its own company. So, you know, and the reason why that these are critical is because, these natural resources and a lot of the companies, the closest that comes to the gold mine is the Navajo Transitional Energy. They own a couple of mines, and I think they've also are working with some sort of a power plant. So, but the bottom line is why that I feel like every president and every candidate for the Navajo Nation Council, there's got to be an awareness. We can't just keep throwing money, and we keep looking past these enterprises in a lot of cases when there's economic or, hey, let's bring a business in. Give you an example, this data center, these data centers that are running around out there, Navajo Nation owns a technology company. Why are we not using that company if we're going to go on with the data centers? That's the type of crap that we're looking beyond. And even this wind farms, the solar farms, whatever, these are the things that the enterprise yet overlooking that need to, if that's the case, we need to do something about those dinosaurs. So, anything you want to add to that?
You brought up the data centers pretty much. As a regular Navajo member, we only know a very few of them and what the intentions or the benefits of the Navajo Nation is. But a lot of that is, I believe, is going out, and whether or not we're being compensated appropriately, I would hope we are. So that would be something to really look into and stay on top of, since that's a new thing it's not a new thing. It's something that we really got to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next subject, which is going to be schools and higher education facilities. It's kind of like up your wheelhouse because you're associated with the Los Angeles Unified School District, I believe you said, and you're working as a consultant, which means that you come in like once or twice a week or every week and you teach Navajo or something related to Navajo students. And so based on that, your knowledge about the school system should be pretty good. Number one, I just want to ask this. What do you think about the one-way stream of money that's going off Navajo Nation to universities that are located off the Navajo Nation? While we have two universities on the Navajo Nation. It's like we're training our people to go off the Navajo Nation. And in most cases, they don't return. We're training our people for the world and for them to leave the Navajo Nation. What if only the scholarships were given to the two colleges and keep the money here to grow our universities and also to keep our students here? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, as a parent, you want the best for your kids. Every single one of us, whether if we're living on the Navajo Nation or living off the Navajo Nation, we want the best for our kids. And when we're living here, they go through elementary school, they go through all the way through high school, graduate, and we want them to go out into the world because the world isn't here on the Navajo Nation. The world is out there. We do have issues here and things that need to be worked on here. And there's many benefits living on the Navajo Nation. We love our land. We love our people. We love our grandparents. We love our cultural ways. We love our ceremonies. We love our social interactions. That we love will never go away. But there's the rest of the world out there. I believe that when we have our kids, we're preparing them for whatever is out there, whatever they decide to do on themselves. They're gonna go out there. They're gonna finish high school and they're going to apply to all these different colleges. They may not be all accepted at these universities on the Navajo Nation. There's only a limited amount of uh, students who can attend that. Other than that, you wind up going off the reservation. So I believe that we're preparing our kids to go when they make their decision, what they want to do, that we have to prepare them beyond the borders of the Navajo Nation. So the scholarships are not to help so people can come back. The scholarships is to help our students to go along their way in life, that we want them to do well. We want them to go out there and compete with all these other groups of people, the Belaganas, the blacks, the Asians. We want them to be very competitive. And I think we have that mindset as parents. And I believe the Navajo Nation people are very intricate people. That's the reason why we're so great in art. They're also so intricate in education wise. They can really think. They can really hone in on specifics like math and biology and all these different uh, academic, uh, um, you know. So what I believe that they are going out there. You see them all the time. They're getting scholarships to Yale, to Princeton, things that only I could have just dreamed of, and they're very intellectual beyond our comprehension. Because I grew up on the Navajo Nation. I grew up, herding sheep with my grandma, and we sat on the floor. We helped her pick out all the stuff from the wool, and we helped her card the wool, and my grandma would spin that thing, the the yarn, and really make the rugs that were more like a churro style, and that's the way that I understand and have lived my life, and it's very basic. I understood that we had ceremonies, and our grandparents were explain to us why we're doing this and why this is happening. But I believe that we have the ability to go out there, to go to Washington, to work there, to work in these cities, to work in high end um, um, businesses, and actually compete and develop high end businesses. They are already doing that. I don't have to say anything that's gonna go beyond their ability, but they're already out there doing all these things. So the scholarships are important. One of the things that I will do is to pump as much money as I can into making sure I can try my very hardest to make sure every student that's going to college gets a scholarship to go to school, because I was one of those people that went to college that was eligible. I signed up for my scholarship every year and never got it. A friend of mine from school said, "Hey, they got some funding because her aunt worked there." I said, "Great." Went to the office of the higher education department, and I said, "I heard you guys had some funding. I got a 3.8 grade point average. I would like to see if I can do an application or whatever." So they let you do that. So I went ahead and I wrote. They said just write something up right here, and they give it to us. So they went to the next room, and then they came out and they said, "Oh, we denied you again." I said, "Is there a reason?" And that lady looked at me and said, "We don't have to tell you the reason," and that really angered me. I went right up to the office of the president. That I went and I walked right into Marshall Plummer's office, and I said, "I got a problem." And I started talking really fast, and he said, "Hold on." He says, "Let me talk. Let me hand you off to this is our let me go to next door with you." He took me right next door, and there was a lady in there. He said, "This is the education director here, and you go ahead and work with her." And he said, "Do you have him?" She goes, "Yeah, yeah. I'll go. I'll work with him." So she says, "What happened?" So I told her. She said, "Oh, write this down. Write that. What happened? Go back." And she says, "I'll be right back." She went down to the scholarship office, came back, and she says, "In 2 weeks, you're going to get your scholarship." I was so happy. I couldn't believe it. I was working at UPS, and I was still struggling. I was going more than a full time, and I was doing everything I could to stay above water. But I really needed that money really bad. My car kept breaking down, and it was just a nightmare. And I believe a lot of the kids wind up in that situation too. There are kids right now, our kids, that are sleeping in their car, even like a couple and their kids. They're probably sleeping in their car right now, and that's unnecessary. And that really
Mm,
makes me angry because we do have money. We're wasting so much money on all these other little silly things. I believe that we can help every college student out there. And I that's one thing that I will fix. I will ensure that everybody has a chance to go to college.
mm, very nice. Okay, still staying within the education, the Navajo Nation schools. Sounds like you've had some affiliation with that as well. Let's talk about what is a 638 school on the Navajo Nation?
Could you repeat that, sir?
Yeah. What is a 638 school on the Navajo Nation?
Well, I don't know what the 638 school is, but I'm the type of person that would find out that question and the solution or the answer to that. That's that's what I have to say.
Okay. Um, if you had to address as the Navajo Nation president and you had to bring some sort of a philosophy, would you consider incorporating the Navajo culture throughout the entire school system from K through 12?
Uh, I would, because of the fact that right now they are running a lot of immersion schools on the Navajo reservations, but uh, and off the reservation, there are schools that are now running immersion schools off the reservation. They do have one over in Albuquerque. It's right next to the Indian Public Cultural Center, and I went there with my child, and they said we only can take one of your students. I had four kids I was trying to get into school. So I selected one of my kids that I thought that would be the most that would be compatible with that type of schooling. So I believe it's very important to keep that thing going from the very beginning, from the time that you're in preschool or kindergarten, and start talking to them Navajo constantly, letting them know exactly what these words are, and let them know that these are spiritual words that we're talking, that it was given to us by our creators, and this is how we believe it, that we know this is how we exist. So
Mm,
that's one thing that I would really push is to continue or to push for traditional teachings in the classrooms all throughout the state in different states. I would do that.
mm, mm. Okay, very nice. Uh, right now on the Navajo Nation, there seems to be many, many different school systems. You've got BIE, you've got charter school, you got Johnson O'Malley, and the list goes on. Uh, do you think that should be consolidated? And why do we have the net education division or department? And who's the boss here? Is it the charter school or is this the Navajo Nation? Should they be consolidated? Hello? I'm not hearing you. You're dropped off again. So this is,
Uh,
yeah,
I'm back.
you're back.
So I believe they're all funded differently, and I believe there are administrators out there or principals that saw that they could benefit the students with another sort of school to be funded in a certain a way so that they go bring down the student to teacher ratio, because that's a big thing on how you can give that much attention to a child, student, uh, so they could learn a lot more from that teacher.
Okay. Let's move on to the next section. That is that I'm hoping that you would know this at least because this is like there's a lot of facilities on the Navajo Nation. This is concerning healthcare. You said you weren't exactly certain with the 638 programs as far as school goes. There are also 638 healthcare facilities as well as IHS. Right now, there's it's a good idea, but there's also a real downside to that. And these facilities are acting like they're businesses, which they are, but most of them are riddled with problems. Problems like overbilling, overpaid doctors that have a shady past that are dealing with laws issues, and seems to me like they're hiding behind these 638 healthcare. Can you share with us what you know about the 638 healthcare centers?
Well, what I do know is that I believe it was in Kayenta or Tuba City recently. There was a investigation about a doctor overbilling patients, and one of the front persons was actually one of our own people. And those are things that I believe the judicial system that we have really needs to be really tightened up. We really need to be able to depend on them so that we ourselves are paying a cost that's uh, that's affordable, and because a lot of times some people they're wind up getting billed for their services. They're not all given the the Indian Health Service funding that is there. Um, I have no idea. But there's one time that I was in uh, got services and they didn't pay for it, and that wound up on my credit, and I had the worst time trying to pay for it. But uh, what happened was uh, there was a doctor that was fronting a facility, and and I forget what the issue was, but I believe a lot of those things can be looked into and should be addressed and looked into a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that if you're so uh, compassionate for your people, things that people tell you, you get in your mind and you really go out and you try to help them. And I believe this is something that what the questions is probably the top priority, and I believe that should be done with this position, because then you can go questions and people will have to answer you. They just don't turn you away. You're there and you're talking on behalf of the people, asking questions. They have to tell you what you need to know.
Yeah. Okay. So I got further questions on this 638, but you have to know more about the concept of the 638 because there's some, I think the 638 program is a really serious thing for all presidents and all elected leaders. The standing committee within the Navajo Nation Council, they need to be aware of some of the things because ultimately this comes down to our health, the health of the Navajo people. And if we're not savvy up at the front office, at the board level, at the organization, then we've got issues. And so we lost Mr. Donovan Begay again. Oh yeah, he looks like he's back. So
I'm here.
and these are the things that we need to be aware of because the 638, is ultimately coming down to the Navajo people. And so our leaders need to be very much aware of some of the pros and cons of these facilities. And it's going to be how much management that the Navajo people are going to have. So let's move on to the next section, which is going to be the Navajo Nation executive branch. You're going to be the president should you be elected. But here's the problem. Why do you want to become the president of the Navajo Nation who appears to have absolutely no power within the three-branch government?
Back, I believe it was 1989, or I believe uh, the creation of, I think, Title II was created. It was a checks and balance creation for the judicial system, judicial branch and legislative branch, to have checks and balances on the executive branch. And that took away the position of the council, the chairman of the council. If I believe in this system of Native American government, you have to go into this position as the chairman, with the mentality as the chairman of the council. They are your eyes and ears of the communities they represent. You have to work with them and listen to what they are telling you, and do your very best to make the best decisions. They're going to direct you what people want, what people need in their communities. You have to, and you ultimately are going to make decisions, and it's going to be on the president of the Navajo Nation, whether if it goes right or if it goes wrong. So I believe that going in there with that mentality of being part of the council instead of opposition of the council is going to make everything happen. All the red tape that is put forth, and you show them that you're trustworthy and your administration is trustworthy, they're going to be able to work with you and help their communities. I don't believe there should ever be a government shutdown or funds held up. You have to meet in the middle and say, hey, how can we get this going? These people need these services. What's necessary? But you really got to look at those projects and see whether or not, you have to know whether or not if they're pet projects or not. And I've worked with the chapters and communities where a lot of these, you got to know the people in those communities to know what's going on. I know a lot of things that are going on in Shiprock area, and I think I can be a very huge benefit for that particular community, and then use that to work on the other communities on all the issues that they have, because each community is specific. They all have their unique issues and needs. So I believe going in as a Navajo Nation president, you have to go in there with the mentality of a chairman. You have to go in there and think about what, how you're going to work with this group of individuals who are elected by their communities. That's, I believe, is what's going to help you out the most.
Yeah, I think, one of the interesting thing about what you're bringing up about chairman is that's the reason why the Navajo Nation went into a crisis, because the council at the time, 49ers, thought that was a problem. Chairman is acting like a dictator, and there's monies that are being unaccounted for. He's controlling the entire government, and so that's why they instituted the three-branch government. So to go in there with the same mindset, I'm not sure what's going to happen, to say, take my lead, because right now it's not working. No matter what's been tried, let's sit down at the table. It's not working. There's got to be fundamental problem why that's not working. You brought up Title II. So, what's your thoughts on that?
My, well, it has a lot to do with the individual. There's people that are motivated by money. There are people who are our people are motivated. Some people are motivated by money, by power. They love getting up there and they say, okay, so and so is from the certain committee or whatever board, and they get up and they wave. And a lot of times, those people to the point where like that person is not somebody who's helpful to our community, but they gain that position every 4 years, and you're like, this person doesn't help us. So going in there as a person who's motivated to help people, then have that problem with greed or power, is helpful to the benefit of the people. I don't have a money issue. My high is helping people, going out there and helping somebody, just on a daily basis, helping somebody start their car, helping somebody chase their sheep off the road, or something that's helpful, something that we do every day. But then the the larger picture, having the power to do certain things that are going to help the entire Navajo Nation is necessary to be able to help, and so the people can benefit from what your vision is, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. That title too was created because someone couldn't be trusted, and I'm telling you right now, I can be trusted. So I believe that's the difference between myself and other Navajo Nation presidents.
Thank you. Very nice. Okay. How does government reform fit into this puzzle?
There, well, when you go in there, you can have um, certain rights and certain powers. When you go in there, you have the right to appoint directors, and that's one thing that's been talked about with a lot of the other candidates, that they're going to go in there and um, they're going to go in there and they're going to appoint. But I believe that you have to have some sort of a um, understanding of the individuals that are working for you. You cannot go in there and think that you can get rid of everybody and think that you're going to be uh, better off by putting a bunch of other people in that don't even know what the job is. You have to at least try some sort of a evaluation phase, and things that that aren't working. Those are the most critical ones that you have to go after and say, okay, why isn't this working? Why is this office not working properly? Why is this department, what's the issues here? And you have to micromanage. They're not going to like it, but you're going to be right there. You're going to have to say, okay, this seems to be the problem. Are you willing to work with it? Are you willing to fix it? And if they do not do that, you're going to have to make changes. It's a hard thing to do because some of them are going to be related to. It might be your aunt, it might be your cousin, and you say, you know what, maybe you're better off in a different position, or maybe it's just not working for you here, because this service is for all the people out here. Because being in this position, you're I believe that you're responsible for the first breath that a baby takes, because we do have Indian Health Service here. Your actions is gonna um, affect that very first breath that baby takes, because of the way that you went out there, you went to Washington, you lobbied for more monies for that, for that funding, so that they could have a proper doctor to um, so that baby could come into this world. So that's one thing that you have that power. Uh, People don't think of it that way, but you are responsible for the first breath and the last breath that people take, because we do are part of the medical system. Your decisions, you have to think about individuals that way, because you are responsible. there are a lot of decisions that people make, and sometimes people die from it. And that's one thing I will not stand for. I will not allow something like that to happen, and I will do everything to make sure people are adequately cared for.
Thank you. Today, quite so night is kiddo late. Ata hot oh sepetino nas a hata quite Nihinan a hindi do da Diego. Nihita hastel Latine be in the hasti. Even in that 80 the title 2 nigi hut o in data. A co in that hut o isa. Quaggy dide ne department with Diego. A quento ash. A co a arun hat it settled. A aro I hut o a diden jono gutstin lage in hahito ash. To a cadet hatino bo answers hastana hayeta a hoto need. Kada ya e to hut ada. A co dide Athi Nini, the office, the name of the office is Iti Olia.
Could you say that last part?
Tida sa office with Yagi, Quake, Oi, Date Aniki, Asia, a Hati Athi, Nido Hasha Ulia, is Chida.
I don't really know what that portion is there, the office that you're talking about. So what is going on with these departments? I know that you're concerned about is that they do need to be, some of them need to be fixed. I I don't really know a lot about the departments and their services. What I know is that they do have uh, um, uh, necessities that we all are dependent on. And I believe that we are going to have to work with those departments to try to get everybody up and up with whatever needs to do with all the services that we need.
Okay. Auto. Yeah, Lano. Appreciate that. Now, let's go on to the last question. Economic development. In your own words, what is economic development?
Economic development is the creation of a entity that will benefit the people of your community. That's what I believe it is.
So, taking that theory, how would you apply that to the Navajo Nation if you were elected the Navajo Nation president?
Right now, we have a lack of jobs. There's really no plan on developing jobs. There's so many administrations that go through, and we don't really see what jobs are developed. But they do say we created this job, that job. The only jobs that I believe that have been created is, recently have been the casinos, because of the fact that we see people working there. And this is a question that you have to sit down with uh, the council, departments of heads that understand um, the benefits are out there, because as a regular Navajo member, we do not have information that a lot of other leaders have. And I believe, even though I believe that this modular home situation, I believe, was a disaster because of the fact that we were paying way too much money for each modular home, that we probably should get into something similar so that we can create our own homes. I believe we have the ability. I believe we have the intelligence. We have the manpower to do something like that. Back in the 60s, they used to have a 10-day work through the chapters. It was called a 10-day workforce or something. And within 10 days, they would have a house built for a family. So they did that a lot through the chapters. So economic development, uh, one thing that I would propose is cleaning up our fairgrounds areas so that when people go, that they're able to have an experience that is worth it to them. To be walking through mud, to be walking through dirt, rocks, tripping over rocks with your family, with your grandma, with your kids, it's uncalled for. And every year they say that they lose money, but I've been around it long enough to know that they do make money. That's why they keep doing it. So I believe that it's one thing that if we build up that tourism infrastructure, we fix our facilities and have people come out that can't afford $1,000 pieces, $5,000 pieces, other than just selling things for $10 or $5. We're not going to get anywhere. We need to because that's one thing that they said that I heard somebody say, AI is taking over a lot of these jobs, and one thing that they cannot take over is our ability to do our crafts. That's one thing that can never take from us as Navajo people. 90% of our people are very creative, and that's one thing that we need to put money back into. I'm proposing to do a stimulus every year in October. Why in October? Because November and December are the biggest selling months of the year. And if we can help a jeweler buy his silver somewhere between $5 to $1,000 and have them buy their material and get ready for those coming months. And because you're not only helping that one artist, you're helping his family. Sometimes he's helping two families, three generations of people. And so that's one thing that I believe that we really need to do. And how would you work a program like that? We probably would do the same thing that Santa Fe Indian Market does. You give them a portion of that money up front. Like we can say, okay, we're giving out $1,000 this year. We'll give you $600. You buy your material, you come back, bring us the receipts, and then we'll justify, we'll reconcile those receipts, and then you come back, we'll give you $400. Okay, and then so they go out and we give them a certain amount of time to come back with the receipts, and then when they do, we're telling them, if you come back with those receipts for the $400, you'll be eligible for next year's program. So that's how we can keep it going, and I believe it can work. I believe that we can help these people, and even if we have to lower some of our people working in the administration, and talk with the delegates, and maybe they can kind of like stop taking certain trips, certain cut back on a little bit here and there. I believe it will. We would be able to afford a lot more for our people.
Yeah, I think, a lot of that, I do believe that the Navajo people, I mean, we are capable. We lived here. We were doing business before the white man came. We were self-sufficient, self-reliant. Kadeid o chapter do government that need e. Joy kwe sawat on donli. Within the economic development conversation, what is the Navajo Business Opportunity Act?
Act or act?
Navajo Business Opportunity Act.
If the question is at, I believe there's so many small businesses around the reservation. You should just go to any flea market, and there's like
No. Let me clarify this.
Yeah,
Navajo.
Again, there's act.
Yeah, ACT Act. The Navajo Nation Business Act, NBOA.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that, but I would find out that information and answer that at a different time.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. What do you think about you running for the Navajo Nation president? And we talked about veterans, and you're a veteran yourself, and there's other veterans that are running. So, what do you think about? There's only one of the candidates who's claiming to be a veteran. It almost appears like that's the only one. What's your feelings on that?
Well, I claim to be a veteran because of the fact that I did it in a way that was respectful. And I believe it's a way because I actually believe in my heart that it's honoring our grandfathers, our uncles, and I would see their pictures on the wall, and some of them passed on, and um, it just was part of me. I can't talk for the other candidate, but uh, I think that the intent on my end is to generally have that compassion for their position, their inadequacy with assistance. That's my area. What the other person's intentions are is what their intentions are. I can't speak for that person, but I believe my on my end it's respect and living through those struggles as veterans do.
Fair enough. Thank you. Another last question that I want to just bring up is that when you're in public service and you are the president of the Navajo Nation or any elected position, what do we mean when we say the principle of the law and the letter of the law? Kasi ito atin.
I believe that the letter of the law means you as a president should be held uh, to the highest regard of that policy, that law, and that if anything that I do that is uh, inappropriate, this issue was talked about the attorney general or the deputy attorney general, the appointments. You have to put somebody in there that would prosecute you, that would that doesn't have that regard for who you are. That's the only way accountability is going to happen. You cannot appoint somebody who's my apologies, Mr. Nez. It went out again.
Okay, go ahead. You were right in the middle of a powerful sentence right there.
So the letter of the law that you're asking, I believe the answer would be the president should be held to the highest, uh, um, what would you say? Anything that president does, he should be held accountable 100% for whatever that president does, and has to follow everything. That's the only thing. Is the only way it's going to work. I know a lot of there's a lot of kind of like going bending the rules, kind of doing this, but for me, a different person. Like right and wrong. That's what I understand. And if I'm wrong, I need to be told, hey, you're not doing the right thing here. And right away, I would listen. That's just within me to be that way. So I believe that that letter of the law needs to be followed for things to be accomplished the way you want it to be accomplished.
Thank you. Very powerful. Jonia, hey. Oh. You need tree. Hey, Donovan. We started rolling there. So, there's a lot of stuff we can continue to talk about, but, you've given us enough time. Thank you for your time this evening. I know that, running for president, you got a lot of stuff to do. So, yeah, we better understand who you are and how are you going to operate if should you be elected to the Navajo Nation president. Ako, you will have the last word. So, next few minutes, Mr. Donovan Begay, closing comment.
Okay, hello, Mr. Calnez. Mr. Calnez and I, kind of ran in the same circle back in the Russell Begay era. And I commend him for coming this far with his podcast. And I believe that our ancestors are watching us. My grandmother is watching us. And you really got to watch yourself. You really got to watch what you do because people are watching you. If you become, or when you become the president, you got to do the right thing. Not only because of yourself, but because of your ancestors and your people, your family that are up in heaven, and you really need to uh, do what you say you're going to do, because that's in the end, that's all you're worth is your words. If you promise something, you got to follow through. And I believe that we are going to do a great job, and I know we are, and that's why I ran, and I already can see things happening. I'm really going to be pushing for that event center in Shiprock. We need an event center in Shiprock and see how that goes. We need a Red Rock State Park in Shiprock. We need a McGee Park in Shiprock. And I believe we can do that to other communities too. And I'm very compassionate about that type of effort. And I believe it'll bring people in, tourists into our communities. We clean it up. We start having a nice food court where people can enjoy their food without having sand in it, being able to walk throughout the grounds and on pavement instead of tripping over rocks, walking through mud. I believe it's possible. We can fix those issues. And I really want to do that for the people. Where my uncle, who was a paraplegic, he couldn't go through those things because of his wheelchair. He had to sit in the truck, but he always wanted to go. So we all are going to benefit from things like that, making everything more handicap accessible, and so that everybody can enjoy themselves. Because I believe that's one of the biggest money things that we have is our fares, and um, and we need to invest into our people. All of our artists, they deserve to be able to get help because I think the money's there. I believe that we can help, and then they'll pour money into our economy. I believe they'll be able to give back. So, and I believe that we really need to help our students with the scholarships and continue the programs with the elderlies and also the veterans, and really get down on the housing. I think that we can build our own homes. I believe that actually possible. We got very intelligent people, and I don't believe that we have to bring our students back. We can welcome them back when if they decide to come back, welcome them and at least have a home for them, have a company for them, have a job for them. But I think that we're getting our kids ready to go out there in the big world, to go to Denver, to go to Los Angeles, go to Albuquerque, go to Phoenix, and there's a lot of people out there. They're very happy. They get married, they have kids, and that's what we're preparing our kids for. And I'm doing the same thing. My kids are in college, and I encourage them every single day with positive words. So thank you very much, Kailan. I really appreciate the time.
You're listening to Politics on the Navajo Nation. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being with us. This has been a very popular night. A lot of viewers out there. So, again, thank you, Mr. Donovan Begay, for taking your time out. I encourage all the listeners out there to share these videos with each other and tell the rest of the candidates who have not been interviewed to tell them that they should. So again, Donovan, I can't kiss more I can't now see the. So have a good evening and good night to everybody. Hagona.